For each real number r, which of the following points lies on the graph of each equation in the xy plane for the given system? So we have this system of equations here, these two equations, and we're asked to find which of these points lies on this the graph of these two equations, meaning these points satisfy an intersection between these two lines. So these points lie on both of these two equations here. And the only way to solve this problem is actually by just guessing and checking, meaning plugging in a point, the x and y coordinates, because these here, they're just coordinates. The first coordinate is the x coordinate, the second coordinate is the y coordinate, and seeing whether it satisfies both equations. But before we do that, we can simplify our process by combining these two equations instead of having to multiple plug the points into both of the equations multiple times. So what we can do is add both of these equations together. So we'll get 7x plus 6y plus 28x plus 24y. So 7x plus 28x, that's equal to 35x. And then 6y plus 24y is equal to 30y. And that's equal to 5 plus 20, which is 25. So whichever of these points satisfies this equation here means that it would satisfy it. So in order for a point to satisfy both of these equations here, it also has to satisfy this single equation here. So if we plug in these points and we find that only one of them satisfies this equation, then that means that only that point can satisfy the system of equations here. So for these first 2 points, we see that the x value is r. So let's solve these equations here in terms. So we can solve these equations here for the value of x. So let's move the 30y to the other side. So we get 35x equals 25 minus 30y. And then let's divide both sides of the equation by 35. So if we divide both equations by 35, what we'll get is x equals 25 over 35 minus 30 over 35y. So we can simplify these fractions. They're all multiples of 5. So 25 over 35. If we divide both by 5, that's just equal to 5 over 7. And then 30 over 35, if we divide both by 5, we'll get 6 over 7y. So x is equal to 5, 7 minus 6 over 7y. And in these 2 points here for a and b, the x value is r. So let's plug in r. So we'll get r equals 5 over 7 minus 6 over 7y. So when the x value is r, we need to find the value of y. So let's rearrange this to solve for y. So r minus 5 over 7. Move the 5 over 7 to the other side. So on this side, we'll only have negative 6 over 7 over y times y. And then we can multiply both sides by 7 to get 7r minus 5, because 7 times 5 over 7, the 7 cancels out, and we're left with negative 6y. And then we can divide both sides by 6, so we'll get 7 over 6r minus 5 over 6 equals negative y. But if we want to get rid of the negative, we can just multiply everything by a negative sign. So then here, we'll just be left with a positive y. Let me fix this. So we'll just be left with a positive y. So when x equals r, the value of y equals negative 7 over 6r plus 5 over 6. So if we look at answer choice A, we see that this y value is not equivalent to this y value, and this y value is almost the same as this y value, but we see that this term here is actually positive, 7r over 6. So that means A and B cannot be correct. So then let's move on to answer choice C. And C, it seems, has a different value for x and y. So we're going to have to do this process again. So let's just make some room here to try and plug in the value of x and y for answer choice C into the equation. So here we're told that r over 4 plus 5 is equal to 6. So let's just try plugging that in for x. So we'll have 35 times x, which is r over 4 plus 5 plus 30, y equals 25. So now we want to see if when we plug in this value of x into the equation, we want to see whether we get this value of y. So we need to solve for the value of y now. So let's multiply out this 35. So we get 35r over 4 plus 35 times 5. 35 times 5, that's equal to 105 plus 30, y equals 25. Now let's move everything to keep the y's on one side and put the r's on the other with the constant. So we'll have 30y alone on the left. And then on the right hand, we'll have negative 35r over 4. And then 25 minus 105. 25 minus 105. That gives us negative 80. And then we can divide everything by 30. So we'll have negative 35r over divided by 30 and 4. So we'll have to multiply those two together. So 30 times 4. That gives us 120 minus 80 over 30. So y equals this quantity here. So now let's just simplify. So 35 divided by 120 is equal to a really small decimal. But let's see if we can actually divide these two so that we can get something similar looking to this. So if we divide the numerator and the denominator by 5, we'll get negative 7r over we'll get 120 divided by 5, which gives us 24. So 7r over 24 minus 80 over 3, that's just equal to 8 over 3. So that's about as simplified as we can get. And if we look at the answer choice here, it says that when we plug in this value for x, we're supposed to get negative r over 4 plus 20, but clearly this is not negative r over 4 plus 20. So we can rule out answer choice C. So that probably means answer choice D is going to be the correct answer, since we prove that all of the other ones don't give us a correct value of x and y that lies on both of the equations, this system of equations. But let's just make sure. So this tells us that when x is equal to negative 6r over 7 plus 5 over 7, we should get a value of r for y. So we can actually also interpret this the other way around. We can just say that when y equals r, we should get this for the value of x, and that'll just make it simpler to find. So remember our equation here. I deleted that by accident, but we can just find it again. So 28 plus 7x is equal to 35x. 6 plus 24, that's 30y, and then equals 25. So when we plug in y equals r, our value of x should be this term here. So let's do that. So when we plug in 35x plus 30r equals 25, now we can solve for the value of x. So we'll have 35x, we'll just leave the x on the same side, so 25, and then we'll subtract 30r from both sides. So we'll have 25 minus 30r, and then we can divide everything by 35. This way, we can get rid of the coefficient in front of the x. So we'll have x equals 25 over 35. That's just equal to 5 over 7 if we divide both by 5. And then 30 over 35, that's just equal to 6 over 7r. So we see that when y equals r, our value of x is 5 over 7 minus 6 over 7r, which is the same as negative 6 over negative 6r over 7 plus 5, 7. So we get the appropriate value of x when we plug in the value of y that we're given in the coordinate. So that means that only this point can lie on both of these equations here, because the other 3 points did not satisfy both of the equations. So D is the correct answer.